Hi everyone, it's Randy. So I thought it'd be cool to go ahead and do this series about misconceptions about rheumatoid arthritis, because many people who do not have arthritis or are just diagnosed with arthritis, or people that have had it for a while, there are some misconceptions about what rheumatoid arthritis is. So I thought they'd be really cool to go ahead and start this little series. And in this video, I'm only going to share 4 common misconceptions, but trust me, there will be a part 2, part 3, part 4. We are going to continue this series. So the misconception number 1 that I want to share is that rheumatoid arthritis is not the same as osteoarthritis. People think that they are the same because if you say that I have rheumatoid arthritis, then most people will just hear the word arthritis and automatically link it to osteoarthritis. So just to go ahead and clarify, just some differences. Osteoarthritis is a wear and tear disease. So that is just something where your body, it's typically happens over time, a lot of stress to that joint, then the cartilage in that joint starts to go away, so you get that bone-on-bone action. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition and it's systemic. So systemic means that it actually affects your entire body. It doesn't just affect the joints like osteoarthritis. It affects your eyes, your heart, your lungs. There's so many things. That's just 3 things that I named, but it affects so many things because it is systemic. So I have seen where people will actually, they advocate for changing the name from rheumatoid arthritis to rheumatoid disease, because then it eliminates that word arthritis. And so that kind of helps to paint that picture that rheumatoid arthritis is actually something that is I would not say that it's more severe. I mean, it could be classified as more severe because it doesn't affect the entire body, but I definitely don't want to downplay what osteoarthritis is, because that is a severe condition and that can lead to people having joint replacements or being bedridden. Osteoarthritis is a serious condition. It's just rheumatoid arthritis affects other aspects of your body other than just the joints. So yeah, that is the first misconception that I want to talk about, that rheumatoid arthritis is not the same as osteoarthritis. Also, and just how rheumatoid arthritis affects the joints, because of course arthritis has to do with inflammation of the joints. In osteoarthritis, I talked about how it's wear and tear and the cartilage is wearing away, so you get that bone-on-bone action. With rheumatoid arthritis, your synovium, so it's kind of like everyone has joints, but in our joints we have little joint capsules that surround our joint, and it's filled with fluid to help lubricate our joint. So that joint capsule becomes inflamed, and that's where you get all the pain and tenderness and red and hot and stiff and achy joints. The second misconception that I want to talk about is that many people think that all rheumatoid arthritis is the same. It is definitely not. My rheumatoid arthritis presents completely different than the next person's rheumatoid arthritis. And even my rheumatoid arthritis will present completely different on Monday than it does on Tuesday. So that just shows that it's just completely different. So for me, maybe my hands are the joints that give me problems. When the next person, it could be their knees, or the next person could be their shoulders, or the next person could be their neck. There are so many different variations to rheumatoid arthritis, and there's so many different avenues that people go through when they're dealing with their own rheumatoid arthritis. So I just wanted to share that it's not all the same. And I feel like this is kind of very personal to me because I am in a chiropractic medical school. So we obviously study all the conditions. We have studied rheumatoid arthritis. And even with the rheumatoid arthritis that we studied, what it is in the textbook, mine doesn't present like that. And it didn't present like that when I was 10 years old and I first noticed my symptoms. So I just wanted to share that because they're not all the same. So if someone's presenting a different way, you cannot unvalidate them or make them feel that the way their RA is presenting is not real, because it's not true. Everyone's is just different. Number 3, another misconception is that people believe that RA is reserved for the older population. It's not true, not true at all. There are so many kids that are diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. For me, for example, my symptoms started at age 10. Only 10 years old. I barely hit double digits. And so there are many people, my best friend, her RA started when she was 2 years old. So there are just so many different age groups that RA starts in. You can start at age 2, or you can get diagnosed at 65. It doesn't limit itself to just the older population. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care how old you are. RA could just pop up because that's just what it wants to do. Number 4. The fourth and final misconception that I'll talk about is that people think that when someone has rheumatoid arthritis, then they can kiss their dreams goodbye. There have been so many people that when I have told them that, oh, I have rheumatoid arthritis, and their first response out of their mouth is, oh, well, how are you going to do yada, yada, yada? Like, for example, one big one is people ask me, oh, how are you going to be a chiropractor? Because chiropractors use their hands, they use their bodies. Like, it is a very hands-on and high stress labor. Like, I don't really know how to word it, but chiropractors use their bodies essentially. And people will tell me like, are you sure you're in the right profession? Like, are you sure you're doing what you want to do? You know, that's just kind of like that look that they give me and some of the comments that they actually verbally say. And I just have to take a moment and just like tell them, like, I take the moment to educate them and just say that there are so many ways. Like, of course, chiropractic, it is a lot. It does take a lot of body and labor and just using every ounce that you have in your body. But there are just different ways that I have been taught to use my body. Like, for example, my counterpart, he could adjust with just all his force, use his hands, no issues, doesn't matter how many times he adjusts or the way that he adjusts, he won't get sore. But for me, if I adjusted like him, then I would be sore. I'd be like, I could not adjust for like a couple of days. I'd have to take a moment to just rest and regroup. So I have learned different ways to adjust. And I feel like when it comes to our dreams and what we want to do, there are different ways that we can achieve those dreams, or there are just different ways that we can achieve that fulfillment that we wanted from that initial dream. Like, I am not going to sit here and say that everything has, even when I got my RA diagnosis, that I was able to do everything the exact same way that I did before I was diagnosed, because that's definitely not true. I've had to learn to redo some things. There are some things that I've had to walk away from, but I've found like I've fulfilled that dream in another way. Like, for example, with sports, I've had to walk away from sports, but I was able to fulfill that dream either by starting another sport or by going into the coaching role of the sport. And so I understand that sometimes RA will like try and take things away from us, but I want to tell everyone that if you have a dream and if you can just take that moment to sit there and think, how can I tweak it so that I can still achieve this dream despite having RA, then definitely give that a shot. Of course, there are times where you're gonna have to walk away from things and that just happens, but then take a moment and think, okay, what else can I do to find that fulfillment of what I wanted to do? And then do that. So yeah, I just wanted to share those 4 misconceptions. Promise y'all, I have a lot built up. I have plenty of them in my notes section that I'm going to continue, but I don't want this video to be just essentially like 20 minutes, like a whole TV show episode. So I'm going to cut it off at 4. And of course, if y'all have any questions, any comments, or if you want to share any of your misconceptions, you can drop them in the comments. You can message me them on Instagram, email me them, doesn't even matter. I'm definitely going to look at them and I probably will share them. And if I do share a misconception that someone tells me, then I'm going to shout you out and say, this misconception came from yada, 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 so that people know that these misconceptions, a lot of us are dealing with them. So yeah, I just wanted to share all of that. And of course, I hope y'all all have a great rest of y'all's day. Goodbye.